When you are reading to learn at home, there are several things you are going to need to do this. First of all, you will need storybooks. You can also use some of the newspaper supplements like Nalibali, which has got articles or stories written in different African languages. You can also use online stories. You can also use school books like the Blue Book, which is supplied by the Department of Education, and folk tales as well. Also, there are some things which can assist you in performing these reading tasks. For example, here we use one of the recycled cardboards. You also need a paper where you are going to be writing on. You will also need a scissor or a ruler to cut your papers evenly. You also need a pen to write on. Now, these are the things you need to follow, steps you need to follow. First of all, you need to have a text which you can use with your learners. What you need to do, you need to start before you engage them with the text, you need to start asking them questions relating to the text we are going to be reading with your learners. In my case, in my story, which is about Hunter's Surprise, you can ask questions, for example, because it's about fruits. You can ask questions like, what is your favorite food? What color is your fruit? How does it look like? And why do you like your fruit? This helps your child to start thinking about what might happen in the story. And this gives an overview of the story. In our story, it goes, in Hunter's surprise, she decides to take a basket of fruits to her friend. But all sorts of things happen to her along the way. Then go through the book, looking at the pictures with the child, or tell the story if it's in your head. Stopping to ask questions like, what do you think is going to happen next? Step number 2, that's where you are going to start reading with your child. You are going to be leading and supporting your child in the process. You start by pointing at the words, and you encourage your child to read along with you. This is just to get them involved. If they can't read, take it easy because they will be able to follow along. The next step is where you are going to start by choosing a sentence or two from the story and you write them in a paper or in a card. If you are telling the story, write a sentence or two, but make sure that your spelling and grammar is correct. For my story, I chose the first sentence in the book. The sentence reads, Handa put 7 delicious fruits in a basket for her friend Akenya. It really doesn't matter if the words in your sentence are too hard for your child to read. You will be supporting them as they read. Let your child read the script with you, pointing at each word until they can read it by themselves. The next step, this is the interesting and the fun part. You are going to ask some questions and your child is going to find the words on the card that answer the questions. The questions you can be asking, for example, you'll be saying, look at the beginning of the sentence. There is a word that tells us that somebody did something. Can you identify who did something? Obviously, the answer will be Handa. And at that stage, you must praise the child and say, well done, brilliant. And then you ask the child to point at the word, and thereafter, the child will have to cut the word and hold it up and read it again, and then put it back into the sentence. Now, here is something really important to emphasize. Every time the child gives a correct answer, you praise the child. Then from there, you move on, you ask them, the sentence goes on to tell us that somebody did something. What did they do? They put, you praise the child, then you move on. You ask questions like, how did they do it? How many? How did they taste? What is it? Where was it? For who? And who at the end of the sentence. The next step, because they've been cutting the words into word groups, then you start asking them to jumble up the words and then make the sentence again using those words. And then they start reading those sentence strips again. The next step, which is step number 6, that's where now the learners are going to be identifying words in their sentence. Here you help them to rewrite their sentence, substituting some of the words with their own words. Now, write the existing sentence on a paper or in the book and read it together. Then decide which words could be changed or underlined. In my sentence, for instance, it said, Handa put 7 delicious fruits in a basket for her friend Akenya. Here we underline Handa, 7 delicious fruits, basket, her friend Akenya. The new sentence we can make, or the kids can make, will be replacing the underlined word. Will be Sihle put 3 red apples in a box for his auntie Makosi. Then when you move on, there are other activities. There are endless of them you can do with your kids, where they can draw pictures next to each sentence and so forth, as long as your kids will be learning to do this one and have fun at the same time. And what you need to do, don't limit your child. They must learn to read for meaning from the beginning. If you are interested in watching some of our videos where we've got teachers teaching using this methodology in their classroom, you can visit our YouTube videos. We've got interesting videos there.